I never do this, but I'm going to take just one moment to vent because let me tell you, the last 24 hours, they've been garbaggio. Now, listen, I'm perfectly happy to be here in Pennsylvania. I'm speaking at Susquehanna University tonight. There's supposed to be protesters. People are very upset that I'm coming, yada, yada. That's how it always goes. But last night I had to fly into Atlanta. I know, first world problems. But I get in there. They're in the middle of a tornado warning. And then I have to stop at a hotel that, let's just say, was not 5-star. It's the kind of hotel where you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you really haven't gone to sleep and you're just feeling like garbage and you need some water because there's no water in the room because the last time anybody cleaned the room was 3 years ago. And so you saunter on over to that special vending machine just down the hall, you know, right past those 3 doors that people have been slamming the entire night. And you know that the guy next door has been listening to watching a Jim Carrey movie because you can hear through the paper-thin walls. Anyway, you saunter on over to that vending machine and you say, you know what, I'll get myself some water and really chill out. And then you get to the vending machine and you realize the only options are Coca-Cola, Sprite, and Mellow Yellow. And you think to yourself, did I somehow stumble into a portal to hell? And then, of course, we have the technological problems of today's shows. But don't worry. We have so many things to get to. Actual real news, not just me. The folks on the ropes over the past 24 hours have not just been world travelers, you know, crossing the country. It's also been the folks over at Facebook. So right now, the Federal Trade Commission is investigating whether the use of personal data from 50 million Facebook users by Cambridge Analytica violated a consent decree that the tech company signed with the agency in 2011, according to Bloomberg. So if you recall, all the way back to yesterday's show, there was a report in the UK Guardian suggesting that the folks at Cambridge Analytica, which was the data analysis firm, the data gathering firm for the Trump campaign, that they had illicitly gathered 50 million Facebook users. Now, there's nothing illegal about what they did, apparently. What they did is they gathered a bunch of data from Facebook users who had taken a personality quiz, and then they'd used those personality quizzes, they obtained that data, they'd cross-referenced that personality quiz data with supposed politics. And this was a work of heart-rending genius, right? This is what won Trump the election. It didn't win Trump the election, by the way. Trump won the election because Hillary was an unbelievably crappy candidate and Trump campaigned in the right places, okay? It wasn't because there are a bunch of people at Cambridge Analytica hacking your Facebook data or anything like this. This is just nonsense. If you've played Farmville on Facebook, they're gathering your information. If you shop online, they're gathering your information. You ever wonder how it is that the ads on your Google are tailored to you, right? You just bought something from Amazon and voila, there's another ad from Amazon. That's because everybody online is always gathering information about you to make sure that they can sell you things. That's how online works. Okay, there's nothing terrible that happened so far as I can see yet. Maybe there will be new evidence of something quite terrible, but the left is going crazy because, again, they're trying to set up a particular narrative here. So a spokesman for the FTC is saying, quote, "We are aware of the issues that have been raised but cannot comment on whether we are investigating. We take any allegations of violations of our consent decrees very seriously, as we did in 2012 in a privacy case involving Google." Facebook said Tuesday it had received a letter from the FTC with questions but had not been informed of a formal probe. If these were all found to be violations, if it turns out that Facebook had been willfully violating its own consent decree, it would cost them $40,000 per violation. If you were talking about tens of millions of violations, then you're talking about presumably billions and billions of dollars in violations. It would basically bankrupt the company if this ended up being a serious issue. But it really isn't, okay? These weekend reports allege that Facebook users allegedly willingly provided their data to a psychology quiz app, and then the people who made that quiz app passed the data along to Cambridge Analytica without the user's knowledge, constituting a potential violation. Okay, whatever. That is not a big deal. I'm sorry. I'm not going to pretend that I think that it's a huge deal if firms that are gathering data on you market that data to other firms. Okay, this is how online works. Again, people who are ignorant about how online works, the reason that you are seeing all those ads is because people put cookies on your browser. This is all ridiculous. Okay, shares of Facebook fell 5% Tuesday after skidding as much as 8% on Monday. And now, apparently, Mark Zuckerberg's having a meeting, but he's not going. So Facebook's bureau, their staff is having a meeting. The chief executive of Facebook, according to The Guardian, Mark Zuckerberg, has remained silent over more than 48 hours since The Observer revealed the harvesting of 50 million users' personal data, even as his company is buffeted by mounting calls for investigation and regulation, falling stock prices, and a social media campaign to delete Facebook. Facebook shares slid 7% on Monday following the news, knocking $36 billion off the company's valuation as investors worried about the consequences of the revelations, according to the UK Guardian. Zuckerberg owns 16% of the company, and he personally saw his fortune fall $5.5 billion to $69 billion. Oh, poor baby. Okay, the embattled social media company announced on Monday it would engage in a digital forensics firm to conduct an audit of Cambridge Analytica to determine whether the firm or not still has copies of the data in question. Okay, does this sound like anything awful happened? Well, we'll let you be the judge. Okay, here's the deal. Okay, for years, all we heard after 2012 is that one of the reasons that Mitt Romney lost is because the data operation for the GOP sucked. I was there. I remember. This was the talking point. The talking point is that Mitt Romney did not have the necessary data operation in order to ensure that everything was going to go okay. Okay, and then, and Barack Obama's data team, by the way, was praised as these wonderful world-breaking geniuses. In fact, flashback to 2012, Maxine Waters, another world-breaking genius, she was talking back in 2012 about how Barack Obama had done it, and she said he gathered data on everyone via Facebook. Wow.
Put in place an organization that contains the kind of database that no one has ever seen before in life. That's going to be very, very powerful. And whoever...
In terms of the Organizing for America that he's now shifting to become a 501c4.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And that database will have information about everything on every individual in ways that it's never been done before. And whoever runs for president on the Democratic ticket have to deal with that.
And yet no one found that creepy. How magical. It's amazing. It's like when Democrats were engaging in micro-targeting and giant swaths of data gathering, everybody just looked the other way. Wow. I can't believe it. In fact, one of the publications that looked the other way, not only looked the other way, but praised the Obama campaign was, you guessed it, the UK Guardian. In 2012, they reported that President Obama's re-election team was, quote, building a vast digital data operation that for the first time combines a unified database on millions of Americans with the power of Facebook to target individual voters to a degree never achieved before. What? I mean, that sounds exactly like what Trump's team was doing. Oh, my goodness. That must have been nefarious then. But no, it was about the Guardian talking about the world-breaking genius of the Obama team. Again, building a vast digital data operation that for the first time combines a unified database on millions of Americans with the power of Facebook to target individual voters to a degree never before achieved. According to The Guardian, Obama's new database would be gathered by individual volunteers who'd log on to Obama's re-election site using their Facebook credentials, consciously or otherwise. Okay, again, the entire claim here is that the Trump campaign gathered data on people who weren't consciously aware that their data was being gathered. Here's The Guardian in 2012, quote, consciously or otherwise, the individual volunteer will be injecting all the information they store publicly on their Facebook page, home location, date of birth, interests, and crucially, network of friends, directly into the central Obama database. Facebook had no problem with any of this. But they do now. There's a reason for this. Okay, the former Obama Director of Integration and Media Analytics said, during the 2012 campaign, Facebook allowed the Obama team to, quote, suck out the whole social graph. Facebook, quote, was surprised we were able to suck out the whole social graph, but they didn't stop us once they realized that that was what we were doing. And then this woman added, quote, they came to the office in the days following the election, recruiting, and were very candid that they allowed us to do things they wouldn't have allowed someone else to do because they were on our side. Not so with Trump. Of course, as soon as Facebook realized that Cambridge Analytica had pursued a similar strategy, they suspended the firm. None of this is surprising because it's all part of a larger and greater agenda. That larger and greater agenda, as I suggested yesterday, is that Democrats think that Trump should not have won. In order to prevent future Trumps from winning, they're going to prevent conservatives from getting out their message. They're going to prevent data mining by Republicans, but they will allow it for Democrats. They're going to prevent conservative websites like the Daily Wire from distributing our material. They'll build algorithms to prevent that distribution. They will at the same time benefit a bunch of left-wing organizations that are doing exactly the same kind of journalism that we are, just on the other side. Democrats have been using the Trump election as a way to browbeat social media companies that were supposed to be open sources into censoring conservatives. That's what this is all about. That's the agenda here. The agenda here, and it's been clear for months, the agenda here is the Democrats who have been claiming with no evidence whatsoever that it was social media manipulation that won Trump the election, and therefore Facebook, YouTube, Google, Twitter, these all have to be regulated. These all have to be brought to heel. This is specifically designed to cause the heads of those firms, who, by the way, are all horrified that Trump won, right? Zuckerberg is horrified, and Jack Dorsey at Twitter is horrified. The heads of Google, Eric Schultz, who was part of the Obama team, all the people at Google were horrified, right? Nobody at any of these companies wanted Trump to win, and they don't want any part of being blamed for Trump winning. So they are using this as an impetus to basically censor conservatives. This is the next step. So a year and a half ago, there was a lot of talk about Facebook algorithms preventing conservative topics from trending. And Zuckerberg met with a bunch of conservatives, including my friend Glenn Beck, and he met with, I believe, Tucker Carlson, a bunch of people, to talk about shifting his algorithm. And according to Wired, that was all an attempt to sort of buy off the press, prevent conservatives from whining about it too much. Well, now they don't care whether conservatives whine about it. They've just decided they're going to cater to Democrats by essentially shutting down all of these mechanisms for conservatives. Senate Democrats have trotted out a bunch of pathetic Russian-created memes on Facebook viewed by a handful of human beings, right, and as an excuse for Hillary Clinton's loss. They've suggested that this is why Hillary Clinton lost. Those things, we showed them on the show. They're pathetic. They were seen by 5 people. The Russians in the entire election cycle on Facebook spent something like $100,000 on Facebook. Now, honest to goodness, small companies spend tens of thousands of dollars a month marketing on Facebook. That was a giant nothing burger. But the Democrats are claiming it's a something burger because, of course, they want to use that as an excuse to club all of these social media companies into submission. They also claimed without evidence that fake news had swamped Facebook. We've heard nothing but fake news for 2 years now. Oh, Trump only won because of fake news, because people were reading headlines that weren't real. We've had article after article about this, the problem of fake news. What the Democrats mean by fake news is news that is slanted to the right? Commentary that is slanted to the right, interpreted to the right. They don't like that stuff. Not just stuff that's outright false. Nobody likes the stuff that's outright false. But instead of just banning the stuff that's outright false, Mark Zuckerberg has gone further. Mark Zuckerberg has decided that he is going to cleanse his network of all stuff that would remotely be construed as conservative. In February, Wired magazine ran a cover story specifically dealing with Facebook's role in the election of 2016 and their subsequent attempts to fix the problem. After the election, Zuckerberg, the head of Facebook, met with Barack Obama after the election when Obama